What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast, episode number 272. On tonight's podcast, we will look back at Benfica's game against Portimonense, and we'll look ahead to Benfica's upcoming weekend game at Estádio da Luz against Boavista, the only team to have beaten Benfica this year. With me tonight, Cristiano Oliveira.
Hola.
And up in Great White North, Steve Santos.
Why is it always got to be the Great White? Is it really that great?
I can't find any other nice adjectives to mention them. And Dave de Oliveira.
How's it going today?
Should I say Putin lover mofos? Putin loving mofos.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's trying to make America great again. I'm not sure he's going to be too happy with you calling Great White North. I mean, you know what I mean? He might ruffle some feathers, so be careful what you say.
So anyway, here we are. Before we get going, I wanted to, if you had a chance to listen to the Benfica FM podcast, I wanted to personally thank those guys for having me on. It was in Portuguese, and I thought I did pretty good in Portuguese. So thanks to those guys.
If anybody could, you should be able to.
Oh, Steve, o cavalo não passou à nossa porta nesse dia.
Ainda bem. Senão eu ficava atrapalhado ali ao lado.
Tu ia ser atropelado por cavalo, pá.
No, I appreciate being invited and obviously our podcast being recognized by those guys and obviously they're part of this movement, if you want to call it, of independent projects that are popping up. Conversas, Benfiquista podcast, Benfica FM, ourselves, which have been around for quite some time. So always happy to support fellow podcasts about Benfica.
But Steve, worry not, brother. You and I, we take the cake home. We're the most critical by far. So we're good, Steve.
You think so?
We're winning at something. Oh, by far.
Right. I mean, there's also, our boy Pedro Oresta. We support them, but their format's a little more different than ours. We dedicate ourselves to Benfica. They're on the whole league, but with the focus on the big three. Anyway, turning our attention.
They're like the 24 Horas, a podcast.
They're the 24 Horas.
About rumors and everything. 24 Horas, they got all the shady news.
Whatever keeps people entertained.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Somebody got to cover it.
So anyway, Benfica played Portimonense, traveled down to the Algarve this past Saturday to play Portimonense in a game that we anticipated as being a difficult game for Benfica because of Portimonense's lately their form, also that they're coached by Vitor Oliveira, who has done a very good job with several teams. And
tremendous last name.
Portimonense hasn't been an exception to that. So I'll give you the lineup and we'll get into the game. Varela was in goal. Almeida, Ruben, Diaz, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Feza, Pizzi, and Zivkovic in the middle. Rafa on one wing for the injured Salvio, and Cervi on the other wing, and Jonas up front. So I guess we could just get the Salvio news out of the way. Salvio underwent arthroscopic surgery today, which basically is a cleaning of your tendon area and your knee.
Your colon, cleaning the colon.
It's basically it's they clean it up. I mean, I'm no doctor, but Cristiano knows.
See why I got confused, right? They clean it up. I mean, the terms you're using.
So at least 5 weeks that he's going to be out. So he probably won't.
Well, it
be
depends
back.
who you listen to, because every single sports newspaper in Portugal has a different time. So you're saying 5. I've heard 6. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing 5. I'm pretty sure you listen to you read another newspaper. It says 12 weeks. I mean, these guys, are they ever on the same page?
I don't know.
I think you said it on Twitter. These guys are throw something against.
Yeah. No, I mean on a couple days ago, Jonas Bola had Jonas out for a month. Record that Jonas back maybe next week, out for a week. O jogo had Jonas out for a month.
Starting like it was one starting, one tá apto, o outro não tá pronto, e o outro tá fudido. You know what I mean? It was like that.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But anyway, so when Benfica publishes the report, we'll make judgment on that. But the type of a procedure that Salvio underwent, I think that's at least a minimum of 4 to 5 weeks. But again, it all depends how the player recuperates, how his physical therapy goes, and how his body reacts to the procedure. So,
and this is what, the 4th?
Yes, I was about to say. I think it's his
I
third.
don't know if you could consider this an operation, though.
It is. I mean, they're going in the knee. They're going in.
He's getting cut, regardless of the size.
Dude, they don't cut for arthroscopic anymore.
What do they do?
It's 2 little dots.
Fair enough.
2 little dots. They don't cut
Steve,
anymore.
Here's what's obvious here. We got a stats guy. Now I think we need a doctor guy. So anyone out there listening, we got a seat open for you guys. All right.
Yeah. So
preferably you can pronounce those injuries in Portuguese too.
Yeah. Let's get right into the game. Benfica started the game very well. We a little frozen. Can we still hear?
More than a little.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good now.
Benfica started the game well, high pressure, high lines, right on top of Portimonense, as Portimonense likes to play the ball, likes to play on a counter attack. And if Benfica was to close down the spaces and close down their first phase of transition, then we would limit Portimonense to not doing the counters that they usually do. Excuse me, I got a little cold this week. Anyway, Steve, let's talk about this first 35 minutes for Benfica, which I thought were decent. We got a goal in the 6th minute by Cervi on a play where Rafa on a rotation lets the ball go a little bit out of his control. Defender pokes the ball. Cervi just happens to be at the right place. But here's the thing, right? Two straight weeks now that we've seen Živkovic. What are you seeing in this Benfica midfield?
I'm liking it, obviously. Živkovic adds that extra bit of quality, and I mean, the kid we always thought could play as a number 10. Now he's even showing. I was quite impressed a few times with the way he reacts to when we lose the ball in the defensive transition. I thought the team as a whole in the first 35-40 minutes were fantastic at that. I mean, we kept Portimonense pinned in. Anytime that they did win the ball back, we won it back off them so quickly. It was really impressive. But Živkovic brings you that bit of vision. The way he's very good at protecting the ball and beating that first man, door is always open. And then he's got the technique and the vision to use that, and that's huge. I mean, he doesn't seem to have. Krovinovic may have had a little bit more of that pause and knows when to just hold on to the ball for the extra second, or maybe even just to step on it, pass it back to one of the center backs and slow the game down. But Živkovic has got all the other abilities that Krovinovic does. The 1v1 ability, the passing ability, that lovely left foot. We always wondered what kept him out of the lineup. So it's no surprise that on the ball he's really making the difference.
Yeah.
But that trio of little guys on the left side is just killing it.
Yeah. Hey, here's the thing, Cristiano. So all season long, we've been wondering why Živkovic doesn't get minutes, and now it takes for a guy to get hurt for finally, and it's only been two games, right? But
you're gonna lead me down a road that I was hoping I didn't go down. But I'm
Victoria, and the opportunities only come when.
So, no. You're close.
But listen, what I'm gonna tell you, right? It's only been 2 games, but I think at this point, everyone that's watched Živkovic in that position will say now that this is gonna be our guy for the rest of the season.
Here's what makes me laugh real quick about Živkovic. First thing, Twitter blew up. They were ready to ship this guy to any club that was offering a bag of peanuts and some tremosos. When he got his red card in 2 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever the hell was against Porto, everybody thought it was the end of this guy. This guy's terrible. Now everybody's in love with him again. Just keep that in mind. Second of all, the one thing that's frustrating here is this, man. For the Rui Vitória lovers, every time we get to see one of these guys pop up, right? We've seen it with Lindelof years ago. We see it now with this guy. We've seen it with so many of the guys that have played, that have gotten an opportunity on this club that everybody was like, oh, Rui Vitória lançou, guys. Lançou porque teve necessidade.
Živkovic is a little different, though.
No, Živkovic, he burned them.
Right.
He burned them, and now he's giving them an opportunity only because he had no other. Because remember, we got into this argument here on the podcast. They were in love with João Carvalho. Oh, can't believe that. Then it's like, oh shit, maybe he's not ready. Let's try you. That's not vision. That's not a coach that's making the right decisions. Like, I know because if he knew what he had in this player, there was no reason to throw out João Carvalho. He would have thrown him in there day one. But now everybody's gonna praise him because lançou guys. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different story that Lindelof,
Same thing. Everybody got hurt.
No experience. Ederson, no experience.
No, Ederson had a year and a half or 2 years.
But he came from obscurity.
He's talking
right?
about not at Benfica.
But I mean, Zivkovic's been around. Everybody's known with Zivkovic's talent. So if like Stiano says, if the guy wasn't any good before, now all of a sudden he's your guy.
The guy barely played. The guy, we all scratched our head. Steve, I mean, go back to the preseason podcast we made, and we asked the question, what's the one player you're excited about? And for the last 2 years, I've been saying Zivkovic. And it's like all of a sudden the guy gets thrown to the wolves, and like you sit on the side, and we're going to get all these guys playing. Then only when they fumble and they trip over themselves, now I'm going to go to you because the horse is passing by your door. And then, look, that's fine. But the problem, the guys like myself, is the frustrating part where you're going to see people praising that move when in reality it was like a desperation move. Like, we got nothing else but a lot.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean it is what it is.
Look, he's a fantastic player.
Yeah,
he's a fan.
No,
we've all known he's a fantastic player. I think he shocked every single one of us because he's playing on the interior. We're not sure. At least I wasn't, because he's more of a guy that always played on the outside or even that false nine. And now he's kind of having to do a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball, controlling the ball, playmaking. And he's been everything we didn't think he could be at this point. And he's definitely been a tremendous substitute for a guy like Rovinovic, who had turned this season around and was one of the key players of the season so far. So it's good to see him come in, but I think everybody else around them has picked up their game as well. Cervi's picked up his game. The Grimaldo, sometimes for a player of his caliber, I'll be honest, there's still a lot of stuff that he does that leaves me scratching my head. Like, what? Yeah. Like, this is like you show flashes of being a much
too
better
much
player.
Confidence sometimes.
But I think everyone else around the club's picked it up. I think Jonas has been lights out. But yeah, absolutely. You bring in a guy like Zivkovic and his quality, like Steve said, he's got a beautiful left foot. There's nothing this guy can't do. And I think we're all surprised that he's playing this well on the interior, but it's definitely a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to the game, first good 35 minutes for Benfica, and then Benfica lowers their intensity, lets Portimonense back in, gives them some spaces, and really Portimonense goes into the locker room thinking that they can compete with Benfica.
Well, if you listen to the post-game press conference from Mr. Oliveira, he said, for the first 35 minutes, I was questioning my guys and yelling at them. It's like they were scared because they were playing against Benfica. Then once we got comfortable, we realized that we could play against these guys, we started playing our game. And again, is it a criticism? Is it not a criticism? I criticize. I don't even know which path to take here. But again, another coach making adjustments and our team kind of flatlining a little bit.
Yeah. So Portimonense comes back from the locker rooms into the second half and continued the same pressure and the same game type that they left the first half with, caused Benfica a few mistakes or a few calafrios, if you will. Especially on that ball situations where there's center backs, and I don't know if they were much taller than our center backs, but they seem to be winning every head ball in the box, and you kind of saw it developing. Right, we had a head ball that just went wide of Varela's right post, and then I think not too after that we saw the goal, but before that, Jonas injured, and what is being classified as Benfica as a knee bruise, traumatismo. So he banged knees with the Japanese kid, and he had to come out. So at that point, I'm sure a lot of the Benfica nation went into a little bit of despair or mayu, because Jonas has been the guy for Benfica this year with the amount of goals that he scored. But not as bad as we expected. Steve, response from Benfica right away as soon as we allowed the goal, and Benfica once again stepping up with pace and intensity and getting back into the game and pushing Portimonense once again against the ropes in their half for at least the last 25 minutes of that half.
Definitely. I mean, like I always say, against 90% of the opposition or whatever outside of the big 3 or 4, if Benfica plays at an intensity level that is satisfactory at the very least, They're going to make chances. They're going to create chances. They're going to score goals, etc., etc. They let Portimonense come back slightly in the game because that reaction to losing the ball was not as good. They're losing more 50-50 balls. That allowed Portimonense to get a little bit more comfortable. That allowed the Nakajima to get more on the ball because he basically didn't touch the ball that much in the first half. And we basically allowed them back in. But as soon as they scored the goal, that spark hit, and we came back in it. Regarding Jonas, we say it every week. I mean, you mentioned the goals, but it's everything else that he does. The stuff that looks so simple when he does it, but when Jimenez comes in and is incapable of doing it, is where you really value what Jonas can do. Even simple things as knowing that, like a crazy first-time ball, the percentages of it are horrible. Jonas knows that, and he's got the ability to pull off those balls. So what does Jonas do? He brings the ball down, he shields it. He'll win the foul. Maybe he'll lay it off to a guy who's facing the game forward. No, Jimenez will try to do some stupid back heel over his head and some crazy crap that he's not capable of doing, and we lose the ball, and the other team comes back at us.
Yeah, but Steve, you're 100% correct. Everything you said. But look, Jonas did not have a good game.
No, not today. No, absolutely
not this game. Yeah, okay.
That was one of his more.
I took notes, and that was definitely one of the notes. He did not.
That was one of his worst performances in a while. Just one of the days where things weren't clicking for him. I mean, the guy got hurt in first game in 10. I think that he doesn't score. It was just not a good day. But the difference in just the most simple things, I notice immediately when Jimenez comes on. Yeah, he looks like he's hungry and he wants to run and he wants to attack the back line, but he just wants to do everything. He comes out wide, and when Jonas comes out wide, he'll give you that continuation. The ball comes to him, but you know that it's going to end up in a better spot, and then Jonas will end up in the box, hopefully, for the chance that comes from that. The ball comes to Jimenez, regardless of where it is on the pitch, and half the time I'm pretty certain he's going to lose it,
or he's shooting.
Yeah. I mean,
we measure Jonas by goals, which he's phenomenal at. But the way he allows the team to play, it's second to none. I mean, we don't have another forward, especially in this new system that we're playing. The two guys that are left, I mean, Seferovic for me has more tools to play in the same idea, not nowhere near as good. Obviously, there's other issues because he's barely played, but he's got more of the soccer sense. He's got more of better first touch, better awareness of what's around him. Jimenez is just a lot of blood and guts, a lot of raiva, you know what I mean? There's not, for me, man, I don't know. There's a lot of guys who have always been a big praise or a big on to praise the guy, but I've never been that impressed, man.
I mean, you're 100%. The only guy on this roster, well, I should say the only striker on this roster that could play with his back to the goal and hold up the ball and wait for his teammates to get involved and get involved and create plays, Jonas. The other two, even though I agree with you, Seferovic got a little bit better ball control than the other guy, but I don't think both of them, they're far from that type of play or that type of system that we like to play where that number 9, the guy up top, holds the ball. And it's ugly. And it's sad, though, because for a club like Benfica, not to have other alternatives, I guess Gabigol was supposed to be the other guy. That did not work out. Yeah, I mean, they could always bring back that up.
I mean, Jonas has been tremendous. So obviously the drop in quality from one guy to the other.
But it's not the quality.
It's huge. It's the style.
But it's not whether he's tremendous or not. It's the quality of players that you usually have. Very rightfully so. You got a guy like Jonas, then you got another guy to counter like a Jimenez, right? Totally different. Comes in, is aggressive, but then you have another guy that's more like, I think Seferovic is more like a Jimenez than he is like a Jonas. There's no like for like. Usually you have guys that are like for like, especially when you carry 4 strikers, 2 that can hold on, 2 that are brutus, and you don't have that on this roster right now.
Yeah. So last time Jonas went without scoring was 67 days ago on December 5th, 2017. He was blanked with Benfica's game against Basel. he has been blanked against Chaves, Porto, and now Portimonense is the only teams that he hasn't scored against in the Campeonato. So we wish him a safe return. Nonetheless, we get out of the Algarve with 3 points. Obviously, very good performance by Cervi. Who would have thought that Cervi could hit free kicks? Comes out of left field with that free kick.
I'm sitting there, and I'm Steve.
It looked far, man. For me, I was like, if it was a dude who I knew had a hard shot, I would have been a little more comfortable. But
I mean, I'm even thinking Grimaldo. I was thinking Grimaldo, but I think that Grimaldo had just gotten a knock on his ankle not too long ago, so I don't know if he was feeling
at that
confident.
point, I was praying to the gods, right, to the Benfiquistas and the Aguias up there in heaven. I was praying you get one of those ugly bouncers near post. I'm like, I don't care. I just want a goal. And I'm like, hit off the deflect off the wall. I don't care. I want a near post. I got near post. I mean, just 100 times better than whatever the hell I was expecting. Yeah. And you mentioned this, I think, on the FM podcast, and it reminds you a lot of Lindelof. Yeah. What the hell? What are you doing? It was like that. It was kind of like that.
It's funny that there was a video that surfaced today of showing, oh my God, Cervi practicing free kicks from basically the exact same spot, and then he goes and scores a goal almost identical to the one that he practiced. I don't know when. Maybe it could have been on Monday for all we know, with the fake wall up. But I thought that was pretty funny.
You know what I took from that one video that Benfica posted? He was, something about practicing. What I took from that video was that Varela practices just like he plays.
Somebody said that on Twitter. Somebody said that on Twitter that he practices just like he plays.
Practice like, because usually guys, he's not intense. He's like,
yeah. Let's wrap up by talking about Varela, right?
No, there's something else I want to throw in there after.
No, all right. Vai lá, então.
No, I just wanted to say that usually when Benfica goes on the road or even at home and you get quality players coming in, and again, I pat myself on the back when it comes to Evangelista and a couple other guys. One guy I want to mention, because everybody praises, and rightfully so. He's a fantastic little player. The Nakajima kid. Fabricio's a good player. But Tabata.
The guy on the right.
Right, left, whatever. Tabata. He's a lefty.
That's the name.
He's
left-footed. He played on the right. Yeah, I was impressed.
But he also went to the left. He's a guy played. Towards the end of the game, the last 20, he was the guy that was controlling the game for that team, because the first half of the second half, Nakajima said, I'm here to play. Let's go. But then I think Tabata, he very influential. I think very tricky player, very skilled, beautiful left foot. And I just wanted to throw his name out there. Don't be surprised if you see one of the big sharks coming after this guy. Yeah,
let's talk about Varela, and obviously we're going to talk about Varela at the eve of a game in which a team that we're going to play against he has very bad memories of, which is Boavista. But Goal Point threw up a stat that is percentage of coming outs. Aerial coming outs, that how many goalies have missed, what percentage have missed of their coming out, and Varela was number one with 50%, which means that in every 2 crosses into his box he misses at least one. Ter Stegen 42%. Adrian
but Ter
from West
Stegen
Ham
is a little, because Ter Stegen comes out a lot to play the ball. He's playing sweet.
No, but I'm talking about aerial.
Supposedly, it's coming out for crosses, is what they say.
Oh, just crosses?
It's probably the weakest part of Ter Stegen's game, but I was surprised that he was the one below Varela. But you mentioned it on that podcast. The one thing that Varela doesn't do is he does not instill confidence and time, and that's one of the things that, as a center back, as a team that's defending set pieces, as a team that sees a lot of crosses come into the box, which some teams more than others will do that in the Portuguese league. Portimonense isn't one of them. But as a center back, you want to feel that confidence that your keeper can come for certain balls. But Varela does not seem to be apt at that, and those stats just show that. I mean, he does not leave the 2 center backs comfortable. I'm sure of it.
Varela's good with, he's got cat-like reflexes. Balls near. No, he's good with when Varela doesn't have to. No, not even a shot, because he can't dive. So it's something around him. He's got. No, I'm being honest. You see the guy dive, he doesn't dive. Falls to his knees. Mm-hmm. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being honest. Watch the video. I'm not making this up. And again, with all due respect to Alfredo, like you said, he mentioned on Saturday. But I mean, if you listen to me, I've been talking about it for months. Sure. This guy's not a Benfica. We have on this. This guy is not a Benfica caliber goalie. Look. and I think I said this a couple podcasts ago, which was he's good when he doesn't have to think. When he has to think, just react and save the ball. He's good at that. Yeah. But when a guy has time to think, like the Boavista off his hands, like the guy, I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know what it is. But then you see him come out for a cross this weekend. The hell was he looking at? He doesn't even get to the ball.
I figured it out, and I think that this is something that I'm gonna harp on, and for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna trust any goalkeeper whose legs are thinner than mine. Have you seen the size of Varela's legs?
Well, we have pictures. I don't know if you recall. We have pictures of Varela.
We do. But he was wearing baggy jeans. So
yeah. Who's with his wife and kid? Yeah, he's at the style walking around when we went for the visit.
His legs are very, very thin, man.
I don't know. I'm trying to picture Oblak, and I remember Oblak being pretty thin too. And
no, but he had legs.
Oblak's a killer freaking goalie. I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just.
Look, I respect that, but I don't. Look, to me, skinny, fat. Don't come out for those crosses, dude. I don't think it's his legs that are tough. It's mental. It's meant. Obviously, physically, he's got the ability to be at that level. It's just, bro. The more he plays, the more he starts scratching ahead. And to me, at what point, guys? And now this is a serious question for all three of you. At what point is Benfica going to realize that this guy is going to cost us points? Is it going to have another? Are we going to need another tragedy? Not a tragedy because nobody died, but you get the realness, you know what I'm talking about in soccer. Are we going to need another episode like that, of another Boavista episode for this guy to maybe relegate? Because, I mean, every week he's committing crimes.
Yeah. Dude, it's I don't think we had the opportunity or the financial power to buy somebody in January, but I don't think anyone doubts.
Apparently you did, but you shipped him out.
Oh, the one guy who went to Crystal Palace?
No, the goalie, Kyriakos or whatever his name was.
Did we actually get him though? That's the thing.
No, he's not. He's only coming in June.
I think we may have got him, but we weren't able to get him in January like we were probably trying to when we figured that this Varela guy is not good enough. So since we might have already put all of our money into that, I don't even know. He's from the Greek league, but is he actually Greek?
He's German. I think he's German. He plays in the Greek. But now here's a question.
Regardless, we probably have paid for him and now can't afford to get anybody else, so we couldn't get anybody in January when we tried to.
Steve, here's another question, right? I'll keep harping on this, right? I asked the question, what's it going to take to see Varela finally be set down? And then if you're telling me we don't have adequate replacements, it makes me freaking, I don't want to scratch my head. I want to pound my head with a hammer, right? What in the world were they thinking in starting Spiller against Manchester United in the Champions League? If you don't think this kid's it just now he can't play over a guy that you obviously see that he's struggling. What the hell was he doing playing then?
I gotcha. I'm completely agree with that.
Am I wrong? Are we wrong for questioning?
No.
There's been, but look, when it comes to player personnel, there's been some weird decisions.
But look, that's
Diogo Gonçalves popped up and pow out of nowhere. Not to fault Cervi, who's been great, but what did Diogo Gonçalves do right or wrong to get into the squad and then drop off the side of the earth?
We don't know,
right?
We don't know. And here's the
Felipe Augusto. Sorry, another one, but you guys can go on now.
I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I lost what I was going to say.
Sorry, man.
Svilar playing against Manchester United.
Look, it's something that we've talked about since the beginning of the season, right? That we identified that Benfica needed to go get a goalkeeper. It's nothing new, nothing new. Anyway,
but it's going to get ugly. I'm not okay with that. I don't care if it's new. What are they thinking? That's it. We want to make it official.
What are they thinking on a lot of things?
No, but out of all the things, this one is the one that's looking the worst at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect segue to go right into the Boavista game, which is going to happen this.
Let me look at my notes.
This Saturday, 6:15 local.
Rafa is back to being crap. Those are my notes. Andre Almeida puts it in the moon inside the 6. I don't know how he did. Even if he tried, I don't think he could do it again. And that's about it. I mean, there's a bunch of other notes, but Varela, and Merla. That's my notes. So
he literally has that written on the phone.
No, we can't see it.
But if if everyone knows that his weakness is the crosses,
everybody's gonna go for crosses now.
Yeah, shouldn't Rui Vitória put somebody at the back post there? Like that goal that they scored, Portimonense.
On set pieces.
Yeah, if somebody's at that back post, that's getting cleared out.
You know, that's a good point, because I think we touched on this, Mr. Oliveira, years ago. And I think
Benfica does zone defense on corners.
Yeah, I think I said it. I would always put a guy on a post. I don't care if it looks like Little League soccer, but to me, if it's going to prevent the ball from going in the net, I'm doing what I got to do. I'm surprised a lot more teams don't do that.
If it's completely against what you do on the day-to-day and what you believe is the right way to defend,
that's it.
I'm just saying, but if it's completely against the way you want to approach defending in set pieces to have a guy sitting there at the line, I mean,
well, not set pieces, Steve. Corners. I'm sorry, corners. At least corners. That's what I mean. Because set pieces, obviously, you want to keep the line high. But corners.
But even then, you want to be able to get out quickly too, and avoid something coming off of a second ball inside the 6-yard box. So I could see why a lot of teams have given up using the guys on the posts, but it's one of those things. I don't think there's a real right or wrong way. It all depends on how you want to approach defending set pieces and what you feel is more dangerous. Is it that first shot on net, or is it the second ball that might come from it?
Well,
there's the argument that you could have a guy on the post that's not going to be able to stop the ball anyway because it comes too low or unplayable height and it just goes off of him anyway. So, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's the go-to answer for that.
Look, Steve, I did this inside study on my own. I made this study a while ago. And I determined, according to my study, right, that if you don't allow goals, you can't lose a game. Right? That was my study. And I think if I put a guy on the net, look, I don't care about the counter. Look, it's going to prevent the balls from going in my net. And especially when I have a weak goalkeeper that can't kick out of his own way when it comes to cross. I'm going to do what's best to help my team not allow goals. And I think, look, I don't care what other teams do, but I think every coach in every situation is different. And I think every coach needs to adapt to the situation. And right now, look, you just read a stat. He's the worst goalkeeper in the big leagues in all of Europe at coming out. Put the guy in the post. In the story. Look, and I'm not saying the ball's still not going to go in, but it's only going to help.
Yeah, my question is, who funded that study? That's what I want to know. Anyway, getting back to Boavista, game happened Saturday at 6:15 at Stade de Luz. Boavista is currently 6th, 30 points coming from 9 wins, 3 ties, 10 losses. Away from the Bessa, 2 wins, 3 ties, 6 losses. Last 10 versus the two teams, 5 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. Last 5 at Stade de Luz, 3 wins, 2 draws. And this season in the first round at the Bessa, 2-1 for Boavista. The only loss for Benfica so far this season domestically in the league, with Jonas with the goal and Varela with the franco. So, and typically, Steve, this Boavista team is a team that's given us issues. They gave us issues last season with I don't know if you recall that 3-3 game. Also, at the end of the season, we tied. And we got a tying goal from Kalaisa, even though that game was didn't count for anything. But here we are with Boavista. And is Boavista becoming to us what they were to Sporting in the 80s and the 90s? Cristiano, you remember that?
I do, but no, I don't think so. I don't think that. Steve, I think last year, you asked me, I think last year the referee helped them out. I mean, you got 3. You could very well question for all 3 goals when Benfica goes down 3-0 in the first 30 minutes. And then second game at home, last game of the season, Benfica kind of had the title wrapped up already. That Hermes made his debut. Pedro Pereira made his debut. There's a bunch of guys. Kalaisa. There's a bunch of guys on the field that did not belong on the field. I had Benfica, fielded their original, their strongest 11. I think Benfica would have came away with a W. The game's at home. Benfica, look, I know Boavista is playing decent, but Benfica should absolutely annihilate these guys 3-4-0.
Steve?
Yeah, I have to agree with Chris for the most part. I mean, they've given us trouble in the first round of games for a couple of years in a row. I don't think they are a very special team by any means. But let's hope that like Chris says, we just go out and put the performance that we need to get the win, because Chris always says we have the responsibility to beat everybody in the league that's not part of the 3.
In casa.
Especially at home. Especially at home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Boavista hasn't been able to string two of the same results. When I say results, I mean win, tie, or loss since December 11th. They've alternated between all three results for the past, 2.5 months now.
Did they win their last game?
And the last game, they won.
Nice.
So law of averages will say that they're due for a loss or a tie.
No, I don't want the tie. The loss is the loss. Does the loss follow the W?
It's either a loss or a tie.
I don't. But a tie is not good for me.
The tie is awful.
At home,
in the past 4 games, the loss has always followed.
I'll give them credit. They're ahead of Guimarães and Chaves. I'll give them credit. They're playing decent football. But again, come on, Benfica in casa. With the pressão, with the tetra, with the penta on the line. No question. Benfica needs to come out. Start this game like they did last week in Faro or Portimão, whatever it was. Portimonense. Start that game with the same intensity, with the same high line of pressure. Come out guns blazing, get on the score, get on the scoreboard, get the crowd behind you, and just sail home with another 3 easy points and look forward to the next game.
My biggest thing is that you're probably going to be without Jonas for this game, and the thing is that you got to show the crowd that you could survive without Jonas.
Busy time,
Rafa time, if there's such a thing. Zivkovic time.
So Rafa,
Servi time.
That's it. That's a spot for now, Rafa.
No, I would assume so. He has not really been
played well last game, not this. Well, the game before, not this last game.
He's not lit it on fire, but he hasn't been awful. I mean,
he was terrible first half. Against Portimonense, he was terrible.
He's so frustrating.
Terrible's harsh, man.
Super frustrating.
Did you say, Steve?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Terrible's kind of harsh, I think, but he can be frustrating because it seems like at that final moment, and we've been saying this since the day he showed up, at that final moment when you need a good cross or a good pass or a proper shot on goal, he's always found wanting, and that's the most frustrating part.
He didn't do any of that in the first half, so he still wasn't terrible for you.
Fair enough.
The guy runs with the ball in space. Fantastic. You're great. You're freaking great. Good. But now when it's time to make a pass, you can't pick no one out. That's terrible. That's my opinion.
Yep. I mean, if there's anyone that can't complain about not getting enough chances is Rafa. And at this point, I think he's had more chances than anyone else on the squad to make an impression, and he hasn't really impressed. So, but hey, I'm not rooting against the guy. I'm hoping that the guy does well and he begins now. If not now, maybe against Porto or maybe against Sporting. One of those games. Let him have like the game of the season for him, and all the rest of the games be downhill.
Here's a crazy idea. If Jonas can't, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Why don't we bring our boy up?
Zagolus?
No, forget Zagol. Zagol's forget. I told you 2 years ago.
Heribert?
No, I like Heribert, but no, the other kid, Felix. Bring him up. He could play that position. False
19, bro.
No, he's 18. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? They say he's part of the plantel next year. You know, cabal pasaporta. I know.
Very different. But
I know. I'm smoking.
It would be interesting.
But you talk about a guy that can hold the ball and Ginga and get players involved. That's his game.
Yeah. It all depends on what Vitória wants for that spot.
I'm being silly here.
I think that when you already have a spot that leva 10-0 from your left side, when you lose somebody like Salvio, as bad as we like to harp on him, and all of a sudden you got Rafa, now now it's down another level. And I know that Almeida got in the box a few times and had chances to score goals
twice
this past game, but of course he's a defender.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. Anyway, I think that's all we got. Right? We got more?
Yeah, we got more. Capitão, man. Capitão turned 37.
Capitão turned 37.
Not you wish you were 37. Not you.
Capitão turned 37 just in time for the Penta. Capitão turned 37.
Parabéns, Capitão. Obrigado por tudo que tu fazes. Espero que tu estejas aí mais por menos um anito a dar aí experiência à backline and
backline.
And also we'd be remiss not to mention the futsal team, which has won the European Championship. Congratulations to all of them. So
what, Steve?
not the Benfica one that Chris could care less about the modalidades, but the Portuguese national team won the European Championship.
Yeah, fantastic. Good for them. I'm happy.
I gotta go. My lungs won't take anymore. Thanks everybody for checking us out. We'll be back next week. We'll break down the Boavista game when we'll look ahead to next Benfica game, which I think is Passo-Ferreira, if I'm not mistaken. We'll check that out. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to check out all the other independent Benfica podcast projects and Conversas a Benfica. Next guest on Conversas a Benfica is going to be Ricardo Rocha, so that's going to be hot.
Who I reached out to on Twitter like a year ago and never got back to me. Ricardo.
His English is no bueno.
No, his English is fantastic.
His English is good, no?
Fantastic.
From when he was in England. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
His English is fantastic.
I was making a joke.
Oh, you're being funny. Yeah, well, that's, yeah. Well, yeah, he couldn't tweet me back. You're right. His English is terrible.
Exactly. Anyway, we'll be back next week. BenficaPodcast.com, at Steve Santos 6, at 10CO10, at Benfica Podcast is where you can find us on Twitter. Dave's around. If you need to get in touch with Dave,
we're gonna start a Twitter poll. What name should we give Dave on Twitter? Because we gotta get him on Twitter.
Twitterless Dave.
No, but he's no longer Twitterless.
No,
but it would be great to be Twitterless Dave. No, dude, you don't want to be on Twitter.
Dave, the status. I don't know. We need to come up with something. Dave, we're gonna put a poll on Benfica Podcast. We gotta get you on Twitter, bro.
I told you 10,000 retweets.
So we could talk. Baseball, man.
Not like setting that bar pretty low.
10,000.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Thank you guys for the ones that were following us live. We love you. Appreciate everyone, every single one of you.
Hi.
Thanks a lot. I hope I'm not forgetting anything.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Valentine's Day.
Hey, Dave, you want to mention a special lady's name just so you get some credit?
Of course, my girlfriend Madeline. Tomorrow's my birthday too, so it's my birthday before Valentine's Day.
See, there you go. Happy birthday,
Happy
Dave.
birthday, Dave. Hope she gives you a big wet one, bro.
See you later, guys.
Ciao.